Liability, and I'm here today with Daryl, the owner of Farmer Insurance here in Bakersfield.
That is correct.
Yes, thank you for sitting with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, so to jump right in, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into insurance?
Yeah, it's a funny story. Again, being Filipino American, my first recollection of insurance is when we went to a local agency here in town. I went with my parents. I was getting onto their policy for the first time. I just remember it being very seamless of me coming in, okay, hey, liability only, and there you go. But now being in the insurance industry for over a decade now, recalling back that specific experience, I noticed my parents didn't get the proper service. And so working with a lot of minority demographics and people who just don't know enough about insurance, a lot of people are severely underinsured. They don't have enough protection. So because of that experience, that's really been my big piece of like educating people about insurance so they can have a peace of mind when they're on the road or when they leave their house.
I totally get that, because someone who relied on her parents as she came to be an adult, you don't know. How are you supposed to know unless you're willing to dive in research? And that can be a little overwhelming for people.
For sure, and that's something that we take great pride in here in our agency is the education piece, because it's very easy. Anyone could spit out a number. You could give me information, I could give you a number. You're like, I like the number, I'll pay that price or I won't pay that price. That's how most transactions are done. But within our agency, we really want people to understand, what it is that they're purchasing, because in the end, it could be an empty policy paying thousands of dollars a year, and then you don't get covered. No one's gonna be happy with that.
It sounds like you lead a lot with integrity then.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, our 3 core values in our agency is integrity, service, and development. And so I could go into those more detail if you want me to, but yeah.
Well, I think that's really awesome, because that's something I do as well. When people come in, I want them to feel comfortable through a transaction, and same, you can really get screwed over if you don't know information. So I think it's so much power, and you're giving these people that power, and that's really remarkable.
Yeah, and what's so interesting, when I first started off my agency, I'll be hitting 4 years this June 1st.
Okay.
And it was a hard transition becoming an agent, because before I was an agent, I was a business consultant for agents. And when I made that transition in, I was like, oh man, I don't want to be that car sleazy salesman, right?
Yeah.
That's I think that's what most people think of when they think of sales, and I didn't want to be that person. And I also had a horrible experience of, I went to go buy a suit to look around, and it's like, oh, we're having this deal, why not? Hey, get these different colors, da. He's making me feel good, and then I end up checking out. I spent $700 or something, and the guy went, and he celebrated right in front of me, and I was like,
tacky.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I do not want anyone else to feel like that. And so how we really educate our clients is, again, we tell them this is what we suggest. We're insurance professionals, but in the end, you are the one who's going to make the final decision in regards to what coverages you want.
Yeah, that's really important. What do you think is the most important thing people should know about insurance? Something that's often overlooked.
There's a lot of things. So I guess the one thing that we hear a lot in the insurance world is that full coverage gives people peace of mind. But how I spell full coverage is FOOL. Because what ended up happening, I remember seeing a little cartoon in a newspaper when I was a consultant. He's like, yeah, I have full coverage, and the guy is walking off the cliff, pretty much indicating he doesn't really have anything.
Yeah.
And so going a little bit more back in the deal, people think they're fully covered when it's like, hey, well, do I have rental? Do I have tow and roadside assistance? No, you have liability, which again, if you hurt someone or their vehicle, and you have your vehicle if it gets stolen or someone else damages it or you get into a collision. That's essentially full coverage. But again, now the follow-up question when I hear people say they have full coverage, what are your limits? And people don't know what their limits are. They're just like, oh, that's my insurance guy. They know how to take care of it and everything. I'm like, that's great that you trust them, but you also need to be educated. Because I ideally want to be able to change that mindset of oh my gosh, I don't get in an accident. It's more, I dare you to hit me because I know I'm covered.
Yeah, that's a good mental shift to have in that
Mm-hmm.
concept. Yeah.
Right.
Like actually protecting.
Mm-hmm.
So that when and if I do, it's not a concern.
Right. No one ever plans to get into an accident, right?
No.
Well, it's when an accident does happen, I personally, selfishly, want our clients to be able to say, hey, Daryl had my back, or Daryl and his team had my back. They were thinking about my best interests and not their pockets. That's how I want us to be able to communicate and come across to our clients.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I would feel really cared for if I came in here and that was my experience.
Yeah. It's kind of to your post that you did, I think it was today, about how you got that feedback from your client.
Yeah, it's the best.
I was just chatting with my team, I think it was last week, and I had a client who we just brought on. He does medical billing here in town. They've been doing it very successfully, and he left me this 5-star Google review, and I read it, and I was like, man, like, it took me 4 years to get that review.
Yeah.
But it was everything I was looking for, of what I wanted to be able to communicate to a client, for them to receive it, and not only to just receive it, but also to reply, to tell me back what it is that they experienced.
The validation of your efforts, of what you are trying to accomplish, and when someone regurgitates that back to you,
Yeah.
it makes you so warm and fuzzy. I told my client, I was like, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
But it does. It just, and leading with people first is so important in industries like ours.
Yeah. I was just speaking with my team today. We're reading the 12-week year, and how things don't always go according to plan. But
Yeah.
and sometimes it's hard to apply certain concepts to the work life. But again, it's not always about work. It's about us just becoming better individuals, who then better impact the people around us.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, if they want to be a better soccer coach, if they want to be a better mother, okay, use that ambition and these concepts together in order to then obtain that concept that you could later apply to the job.
Yeah.
So I think if we look beyond of us growing just to be a better person overall, everything else comes along with it.
I agree. So with all that said, kind of like your philosophy and everything, where would you like to see your business go over the next 12 months?
Man, in the next 12 months, my big ambition is to have maybe 2 new team members, minimally 1, and for a sales position. And then with that too, so man, I'm putting this out there, so this is going to be it's a big ambition. So with farmers, there is achievement club. So essentially,
Okay.
you just have to perform to a certain level in order to get that recognition. Less than 5% of farmers agents get that.
Wow.
So with us being able to get there, that would again really provide the validation of all of our efforts, what we've been doing for years. That was like, hey, we're on the right track. We're going in the right direction. So I mean, it's still gonna hurt if we don't get it, but I'm not thinking that direction. It's like, how do we get there? What do we need to do next to get there? So ideally, that work and help with build my network and be more of a service to the community. That's why we're doing the Bakersfield Innovation Lab, as well as assisting a lot of real estate or realtor investors, commercial buildings, life insurance. Those are my personal 2 things that I'm working on. Even though we do the home and auto like every other insurance company, but those are the 3 areas. Well, 3 areas that I'm looking to do: social media, video content, which is why we're doing this, and then be able to work on the commercial side, as well as increasing the life insurance side of our business as well.
Yeah, cool. My reason for doing this is to get people out in Bakersfield to know you and work with you. Help local businesses.
There you go.
A little different, but we're going to do it, people. We're going to spread the word of Daryl into your lives and hearts.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so coming to like think about Bakersfield and our community, and you are trying to be a bigger part of that, how would you like to see Bakersfield grow in the next 5 years?
Man, so I mean, people, it's funny, I'm in downtown a lot, so people ask me if my office is down there. I tell them not yet, but I'm there so much because, again, I came out here in 2005 and I got married here. I'm looking to have a family here, start a family here. So this is going to be like my new roots.
Yeah.
This is my new pot, I guess you could say, right? And I wanted to be able to see more the community aspect of involvement happen more. Again, if that starts off in the downtown area, hey, that's cool. But I think people, again, being a business owner, seeing other people take that leap into entrepreneurship to start different things, to create more activities that get the community involved. So like the things that are happening at Bottle Shock, I believe during Valentine's Day, they're making candles, yoga, and tons of other stuff, right? So, but these are small businesses that are coming together to then create this opportunity, this experience. And I think people knock on Bakersfield so much because they say there's nothing to do. But I think if people really put in the time and get to know their community and look for activities, like Bakersfield's a pretty cool place.
So I have been on a mission to prove that I will like Bakersfield as someone who left for so long, 13 years. I have been on the mission to prove that Bakersfield is not a boring place, so I am not bored. And honestly, if you do dive into things, like Local's owner, Heather Loganelli, does so much for the community, does like cooking class and all these things. And then I've been wanting to start pottery, and I found out there's a pottery place that you can go do clay and stuff like that. And there's like Bottle Shock and like all of these great locally owned businesses that are bringing the community together. You do have to like hunt for a little bit more than one would like. So that's what's hard. It's like we've all gotten comfortable, and I think with COVID especially, it's good to see people go back out into the world again. But I think it was hard. It was a transition. So I think it's a good goal to bring community together because we were in such a deficit of community before.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I was very happy I was married during COVID, and when I actually had COVID, I was like, man, like this sucks.
Yeah.
So I could just imagine for people in bigger cities in New York, Chicago, and things like LA, and you can't really do anything. And like I could see how that really disturbs someone mentally. And so like to your point, like I gauge how well the economy is doing based on the parking lot, on how full Costco and Samsung is. Because if people are back out, that means they're doing a lot of activities. They're buying things in bulk, they're having barbecues, they're going out, right? So, I'm really excited for 2023, as I shared with my team. Like, this year is going to be a big year of opportunity.
I totally agree with that. I feel it. There's an energy in the world about it.
Yeah. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time and talking with us and kind of giving your opportunity to be seen by more people so you can help them in an authentic way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's what you're doing is really remarkable.
I really appreciate you going out of your own way to meet with other business owners to help spread that word because, again, that's what it is, right? It's the community aspect of it where it takes a village for us to really help each other out.
Totally. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah.